Hi everyone. Her hubby will see the video we're recording. It's payback for my car. That's when we burst in with bats, ready to deliver crushing blows. I had always thought that I lived a charmed life. My wife, Anya, was beautiful, charming, and intelligent. Everything I could have dreamed of. I, Henrik, a successful architect in Budapest, spent long days designing city landmarks and luxury homes. And Anya often joked that I treated buildings better than I treated myself. She seemed to enjoy the life we had built together. The spacious villa overlooking the Danube, weekends in Vienna, and long dinners with our circle of. But lately, something had shifted. Anya had grown distant. Her laughter felt hollow, her affection routine. Still, I brushed it off. After all, work stress could take a toll on anyone, but I could never have imagined the dark betrayal lurking beneath the surface. It began with something innocuous, a damaged car. Anya had taken my Audi A8 for errands one evening and returned with a dent on the rear bumper. She dismissed it as a careless driver who fled the scene. Nothing serious, she said, avoiding eye contact. I didn't press her at the time, but weeks later, when I received an anonymous message saying, "Your wife's antics will cost her. Stay tuned," I couldn't ignore the growing unease in my gut. Something was off. I decided to investigate. I confided in my best friend, Victor. We had been friends since university, and his no-nonsense approach to life was exactly what I needed. Victor wasn't one to mince words. "Henrik," he said bluntly, "your wife might be hiding something. We need to dig deeper." The next few weeks were a blur of suspicion and subtle observation. Anya's late nights became more frequent, her explanations flimsy. She claimed she was meeting friends or attending yoga classes, but her phone buzzed incessantly with messages she never shared. I resisted the urge to confront her outright. I needed evidence, not accusations. Then came the breakthrough. Victor spotted Anya's car parked outside a shady-looking house in the outskirts of the city. It wasn't a gym or a friend's apartment. It was the home of George Nagy, a small-time criminal with a penchant for blackmail and revenge. George had a reputation, and the dent in my Audi suddenly made sense. One Thursday evening, Anya told me she had a girls' night planned. I pretended to believe her, kissing her on the cheek as she left. But the moment she was out the door, Victor and I sprang into action. Armed with baseball bats and a resolve forged by anger and betrayal, we followed her. George's house was nondescript, tucked away on a quiet street. We parked a block away and approached on foot, the tension crackling between us. As we reached the side of the house, muffled voices and laughter spilled out through an open window. Victor motioned for me to stay silent, and we crept closer. The laughter was mocking, cruel, and then I heard it. Anya's voice, followed by a chorus of male voices jeering. One of them said, "George, you've got a hot one here. Her hubby will love the video we're recording. It's payback for my car." My blood ran cold. Victor's hand gripped my shoulder, steadying me as rage surged through me. This wasn't just infidelity, it was humiliation, planned and orchestrated. The woman I had loved, trusted, and built a life with was in that room, laughing with the men who sought to destroy me. We moved quickly. Victor kicked in the door with a force that rattled the entire house. The laughter inside stopped abruptly as we stormed in, bats in hand. The scene before us was seared into my memory. Anya on the couch, disheveled, her face a mix of shock and fear. George and his friends froze mid-movement, their smug expressions replaced by terror. "What the hell is this?" George barked, trying to regain control. "This," I said, my voice low and steady, "is the end of your pathetic little game." Victor swung his bat into a nearby table, shattering it into pieces. The sound echoed through the room, a warning of what was to come. George stepped back, raising his hands in mock surrender. "Calm down, man. We were just joking." "Joking?" I snarled, pointing the bat at him. "You call blackmailing and humiliating my wife a joke?" Anya tried to speak, but I silenced her with a glare. "Not a word from you, Anya. You've said enough." George, emboldened by his friends, tried to bluster. "Look, she came to me. She said you were controlling, boring. She wanted excitement. I didn't force her into anything." Anya's face turned pale. She stammered, "Henrik, it's not what it looks like. I made a mistake, but you thought it would be fun to ruin me?" To record this circus? I interrupted, my voice breaking with anger and hurt. The truth was undeniable. Anya had sought out George, hoping to escape her monotonous life, and in doing so, she had betrayed everything we had built together. George, sensing an opportunity for revenge after the car incident, had turned her indiscretion into a weapon. I took a step closer to George, my bat tapping against the floor. The room reeked of stale alcohol and sweat, but the fear in their eyes made it bearable. "Let me explain something, George," I said, my voice calm yet deadly. "You thought you could humiliate me, destroy my reputation? You have no idea who you're dealing with." George's bravado faltered. "Look, man, we didn't mean any harm. It was just a bit of fun, you know? Fun." I swung the bat toward the wall, shattering a picture frame and making everyone jump. Do I look like I'm laughing? Victor, ever the tactician, stepped in. He pointed at the camera equipment scattered across the room. "Henrik, let's make sure this fun never sees the light of day." Together, we destroyed every device, ripping out memory cards and crushing them underfoot. But I wasn't done. George had pushed me too far, and I wanted him to understand the weight of his actions. "You're going to pay for every second of this," I said, towering over him. "Not just for me, but for every person you've ever blackmailed." I grabbed George's wallet from the table and flipped through it. "Ah, your little bar downtown. Wouldn't it be a shame if your landlord suddenly raised your rent? Or if your liquor license mysteriously vanished?" George paled. "You wouldn't?" I smirked. "Try me." Before leaving, I handed him the shattered remains of his camera. "Clean up your mess, George. And if I hear even a whisper about this, I'll make sure you regret it." Turning to Anya, I delivered my final blow. "You made your choice. Pack your things and get out. If you're not gone by morning, you'll regret staying." The days following the confrontation were a whirlwind of emotions. Anya tried to reach out multiple times, leaving tearful voicemails and sending long, apologetic texts. Each one followed the same script: regret, excuses, and pleas for a second chance. I deleted them all. I filed for divorce the next week. My lawyer, a no-nonsense woman named Petra, ensured that I kept everything. The villa, my cars, and my investments were protected. Anya left with nothing but her clothes and the shattered remains of her pride. Victor was my rock during this time, always there to remind me that I wasn't alone. "You dodged a bullet, Henrik," he said one evening as we shared a drink. "Better to find out now than later." Despite his reassurances, the nights were the hardest. The villa, once filled with Anya's laughter and presence, felt eerily silent. I couldn't escape the memories of what we once had, or the betrayal that had destroyed it. But slowly, I began to rebuild. I threw myself into work, channeling my pain into designing one of my most ambitious projects yet: a luxury hotel that would redefine Budapest's skyline. The project became my lifeline, a reminder that I could create something beautiful even after enduring so much ugliness. Months turned into a year, and life started to feel normal again. The wounds Anya left behind didn't heal overnight, but they did fade. I learned to enjoy the little things: morning coffee on the balcony, long walks by the Danube, and quiet evenings with a book. One night, Victor convinced me to attend an art gallery opening. I was reluctant, but he insisted. "You need to get out of your bubble, Henrik. Meet new people." That's when I met Clara. She was nothing like Anya. Where Anya had been flashy and superficial, Clara was grounded and genuine. Her art was a reflection of her soul, raw, emotional, and unapologetically real. We struck up a conversation about architecture and creativity, and before I knew it, hours had passed. Clara didn't try to impress me or play games. She simply listened, shared her thoughts, and made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt in years. It wasn't love at first sight, but it was something better: a slow, steady connection built on mutual respect and trust. As we spent more time together, I realized that Clara was teaching me something invaluable: that I deserved happiness. Betrayal hadn't broken me. It had cleared the way for something new and beautiful. On the anniversary of the night my life fell apart, I stood on the balcony of my villa, looking out at the city lights reflecting on the Danube. The air was crisp, carrying the promise of change. Max, the stray dog I had adopted during my lowest days, lay at my feet, wagging his tail lazily. Clara joined me, a glass of wine in her hand. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. Her presence was enough, a quiet reminder of how far I had come. I thought about George and his cronies. Last I heard, his bar had gone under, and he was struggling to make ends meet. Anya had disappeared from my life entirely, her attempts at reconciliation ignored. I didn't need revenge anymore. My success, my peace, was revenge enough. Do you regret it? Clara asked softly, breaking the silence. Regret what? Everything. The betrayal, the pain. I took a deep breath, considering her question. No, I said finally. It hurt like hell, but it also taught me what I'm capable of. Sometimes you have to lose what you thought was everything to find what really matters. She smiled, raising her glass. To new beginnings. I clinked my glass against hers, the sound ringing out like a promise. Betrayal had tried to break me, but it had only made me stronger. Life wasn't about the losses, it was about what you built in their place. As the city lights sparkled and the breeze carried the scent of renewal, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Thank you for being a part of this story with me. If it moved you, please give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to Lost Love Mystery. I've noticed many of you who enjoy these stories aren't subscribed yet. By subscribing, you're not just following a channel, you're becoming part of a community that values deep, meaningful storytelling. Let's continue exploring these heartfelt journeys together. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you won't miss our next story.